Alrighty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my final presentation on adults with autism. Just give me a moment here to pull up the slideshow. Alrighty. Okay, let's talk about adults with autism today. To give you a little bit of a rundown on what we're going to cover, we're going to talk about adults with autism spectrum disorder, specifically in terms of exercise and physical activity. We're going to look first at unique exercise recommendations and then special program considerations, things that you want to keep in mind. Then we're going to look at consequences, both good and bad, of exercising and a physical activity in adults with autism. After we look at those, we're going to apply it to some real life scenarios and draw some really key things out of it. And then show you an example of how to work, how maybe a week of training would look like for an individual with autism. Okay, first thing to look at here, some unique exercise recommendations. It has been found that individuals with autism have a decreased amount of irritability and aggression. So remembering autism, just a real quick recap. Autism specifically affects adults in three specific areas. It can impact their physical capacity, their mental capacity, and their verbal capacity. When looking at physical capacity and that verbal capacity that ties into social abilities, some of them have issues such as stimming, repetitive behavior, or aggressive behavior, maladaptive behavior issues. Jogging has been found to decrease that irritability and aggression. And then another unique consideration, a study in 2022 showed a direct correlation between screen time or technology use and physical activity. The more an individual with autism was on a phone, on TVs, on video games, the less physical activity that they did. It was something that decreased their motivation and also took up time that they would otherwise be using in those scenarios. On the flip side, some special considerations for exercise program. The first is going to be a reward system. There was a study in 2015 done where three individuals with autism were encouraged to walk 10,000 steps a day, and they tracked these steps. And they found that as these individuals were given a reward, two of them were super good at doing their 10,000 steps a day. There was one individual who would not do the steps over the weekend because he didn't think that he needed to. So what they did with this third individual is they actually encouraged him. They said, if you'd hit 10,000 steps on Saturday and 10,000 steps on Sunday, you get two rewards on Monday for completing both days. And they saw his adherence increase to the point that over Christmas break, he continued to get 10,000 steps a day, saw the biggest reduction in BMI and body weight loss, and only missed Christmas Day and came back wanting his rewards. So that's one way to promote adherence to a program, something to consider. Having one-on-one assistance, specifically for new activities, you have to get to know the individual and their own level of severity in terms of autism spectrum disorder. If they have low mental capacity, they're going to need somebody to walk them through. Same thing with low physical capacity, someone to walk them through new activities. And in group activities, they're going to need someone to really help them interact with and associate with the individuals around them. Parental assistance has been found to be a huge key that we'll touch on more today. Having a parent involved in an exercise program for accountability or as a buddy, a friend, or just having their parents support them and encourage them is huge. And then finally, individualization is absolutely essential. Do what the individual wants to do. That'll help them most in adhering to their physical activity programs. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about benefits of proper exercise programs. I am going to read right from the screen on this just to sum it up. It says the short-term benefits of a properly prescribed exercise program for adults with autism spectrum disorder deals more with controlling symptoms of daily life, whereas the long-term benefits focus on longevity and sustainability and joy in life. So in the short term, exercise has been found to help with their cognition, to be stimulated. And as discussed in an earlier slide, those maladaptive behavior patterns, irritability, aggression, those are reduced from exercise in the short term. Their quality of sleep is also improved thanks to exercise. Looking long term at their overall health, there's a reduction in BMI, so they're able to not be at high risk, as we'll talk about, for cardiovascular disease or heart disease or anything like that. But then also their aerobic capacities increase and they're better able to do activities of daily life, which leads to satisfaction in daily life. Looking at this image here, this is Daniel Antonsen. He's a bodybuilder in Northern Europe who is autistic. He started lifting when he was a child. He found that it was an outlet that really helped him to control his behaviors, stimulate his mind, and it was something he could do alone as well when he wasn't that good at the verbal communication and social things. Fast forward now, he's in his 30s, and he credits bodybuilding as the reason he's now been able to get married and have children, and he's able to be involved in his community because it's helped him deal with his autism, which is really, really neat. Okay, we're going to talk now short-term and long-term risks of not doing good exercise programs, exercises, or not exercising at all. Short term, you need to consider the medication the individual's taking for prescribing that exercise programs. For example, risperidone is something that can help with their aggressive behavior and stimming, but it doesn't. One of the side effects is that the body doesn't regulate its temperature very well. It doesn't cool itself off. So during exercise, they're at an increased risk of heat exhaustion. The length of the program, if it's a too short of a program, we're not going to see those positive effects that the individual wants. For example, jogging needs a minimum of 4 weeks of consistent jogging efforts to see the reduction in irritability and aggression. So anything shorter than that's not going to have their effects, and anything after that, unless they continue to jog and exercise, they're not going to continue to see the benefits. And then in that short term, their health. The biggest thing to look at is a diet. Individuals with autism tend to have interest often in specific foods that they like to eat that are more comfortable or familiar to them. Poorly executed exercise program is not going to help them have a desire to eat healthy. Now, if they are exercising properly, they're going to be motivated to eat healthy or even at a higher openness to trying new foods. And then they're going to remain underweight or overweight as well. Okay, looking at long-term risks of a poorly executed exercise program. Weight maintenance for an individual to truly lose weight or maintain an appropriate body weight or decrease their overall BMI, adherence for an extended period of time is absolutely necessary. You cannot have just a short fix. Looking at this chart on the right, we're going to see that the green bars are individuals that don't have autism, and the individuals with autism are the purple bars. And if you find the purple bars along the bottom shifting to the right, you're going to see a lot more to the right and a more to the left, which suggests that individuals with autism have higher rates of obesity and falling in the category of underweight as well. So for them, they need to have long exercise programs that they can adhere to for a longer period of time, or they're going to remain at risk of obesity, which ties into other long-term risks. They'll remain at high risk for type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease, which can negatively impact the quality of life and cause complications later in life and maybe even lead to short-term life. Now, specifically, some bad exercises, you have to understand your patient individually. What is the level of their severity of autism spectrum disorder? I wrote down a few examples for each of the three areas that we've discussed on terms of severity, verbal, physical, and mental capacities. So looking at an individual with nonverbal abilities or low verbal abilities, team sports are not going to be an option for them. Things like basketball, where you need to communicate, pass me the ball, shoot the ball, I'm going to pass you the ball, things like that. They're not going to be able to communicate. You're going to have to find things that they can do individually and things that don't require them to talk. For individuals with low physical capacity, you're going to have to find more simple exercises, something maybe just as simple as walking or standing up and sitting down. Resistance training, especially with added weight, is not going to be an option for them. As a matter of fact, it can actually cause harm to their bodies if they're not adequately prepared to handle the weight and the load. And then for an individual with low mental capacity that struggles to understand simple tasks or requires repetition, I thought about multi-joint lifts specifically, things that involve more than just one facet of motion might be something that they cannot do, or it's going to have to be explained over and over again. Or something like a circuit or some sort of back-to-back activity that involves multiple steps or phases is also going to be an issue for them, as they're not going to know how to respond, act, or take care of themselves. Now, looking at practical applications, applying this into kind of a program in our ideas and minds, you want to create that exercise program with them. That is the biggest thing. There's a direct correlation found between something the patient is interested in and adherence. They'll do what they want to do, but if something they don't enjoy, they're not going to do it, which is true, I think, for a lot of people. Now, looking at some of those activities, we've talked that jogging is super effective. We've tossed around the idea of team sports and resistance training. Specifically, in a study in 2020, there was a correlation found between martial arts and horseback riding for individuals with autism that promoted adherence and interest. So think outside the box. Don't just be stuck in the gym. Think about something they might enjoy. I remember an individual I knew growing up that loved swimming, would go and swim laps, and that was great for their health and for dealing with their autism. Remember to have help them have a buddy. And this kind of combines with the idea that we talked about having that support from parents. The parents can be the buddy, they can be the coach, someone that's they report to. There's also correlation found between parents who are physically active promotes adherence in their children, whether as a child or as an adult, as we're talking about here. So having parents that are physically fit or active is huge and involved in their child's life. Okay, let's look at an individual here. Let's say we're approached with a male, age 30, some simple information, BMI 24.9. He does have autism. What do we do here? There's a couple of steps. They're not maybe in the perfect order here on my screen, but there's 5 things I think that you really need to do to help figure out how to help them. The first is assess their current fitness level. I tossed out the idea of using a simple step test to see their aerobic capacity. There's many other ways that this could be done, and that's going to be up to the individual and what they prefer as a trainer, and up with the individual as you see them with what they may be able to accomplish. Then with that physical test, I think a survey, talking to them, is really important. Find out what they've done in the past. Are they currently working out? Do they currently have a program they follow? Or have they not worked out in a while? In this individual, in this example, he's got a moderate amount of past experience. He's done some before, never too organized, but he's familiar with someone says, go for a jog. He knows what that means. He'll go for a jog, right? He's seen a sit up. Maybe he hasn't done one in a while, though. That's okay. Then ID the area that they want to work on. In this scenario, in talking with this individual, he suggested that he wants to either lose some weight or maintain the weight he's at and not gain more weight. So I said, okay, let's look at what we can do with you then. Let's talk about the severity of your autism spectrum disorder. In his case, mentally high functioning. He understands things. He's got a rather sharp brain. He gets it. He's familiar with gym lingo a bit as well, and he understands when I'm trying to teach him things. Physically, he's not a superstar athlete, but that's okay. He can do simple things in the gym. Are we going to start him off with deadlifts and squats? No, no, no. But maybe we progress to that level. As for his verbal functions, it's rather low. He's going to have one-on-one exposure with me each day that he's training. So that kind of takes out team activities, and he may need someone to actually come in and train with us. In his case, he doesn't have extra medications to worry about. Talk to them and learn what else that you need to understand. He doesn't like to be out of the home a lot. He much prefers it, that correlation between physical activity and screen time. So well, his parents are wanting him to reduce that screen time and fill some of it with exercise. We're thinking we might have half an hour a day to work with it. Okay, so let's look at what a week would look like. Let's put it together, looking at the frequency, the intensity, the type of activity, how long we're going to do it, the volume, and let's talk a little bit about progression from this example week. So here we identified him at the top of this chart, if my cursor is circling here. He's a male, age 30, BMI 25.9, but puts him right on that line between a healthy weight and then being overweight. Moderate exposure to activity in the past. He hasn't done any. He came into me in October. He hasn't done any organized planned exercise this whole year. We're starting essentially at zero. The moderate physical capacity, high mental capacity, low verbal capacity for severity of autism spectrum disorder. So here's how the week's going to look. I want to have jogging in there a couple of times. He has slight issues with irritability and aggression, but with that high mental capacity, he's usually able to kind of work and process things out, which is fine. But I do want some jogging in there regularly. So we're going to just start him off at a 20-minute jog, something super comfortable and easy for him. I'll be next to him for the entirety of the time. This is again one-on-one, thanks to low verbal capacity. This also helps me make sure he's not overworking or underworking. So looking at the first day, October 28th, 5-minute walk, 20-minute jog, 5-minute walk, warm up, jog, cool down. He's going to do the same thing on that on that Thursday, the October 31st, 5-minute walk, 20-minute jog, 5-minute walk. That'd be great. Looking at October 29th, he's going to have 2 days with a little bit more movement and exercise than just a simple walk or yoga, as you'll see. On this day, we're doing a circuit, 5 different activities, repeated 3 times through. And this is where you want to get creative. So here's an example I put together of some things that he can do that gets him moving and stimulates kind of some fun activities that he'll enjoy. Warm up walk, 10 minutes, get the heart rate moving, the blood moving. Okay. Then 20-yard bear crawl, let him just crawl real quick. Then hop up 25 jumping jacks, then sprint back 30 yards, kind of as fast as you can. And you get there, 15 squats. And then to add the creativity of this down and back excitement, just that motion of throwing, of just moving the upper body a little bit. Give him 3 tennis balls or as many as they need, a bucket of them, and put a bucket 5 or 10 yards ahead of them and see if you can bounce them into the bucket. And once he gets 3, he gets a break. And then you repeat that 2 more times with a concluding cool down walk of 10 minutes. I have him taking a rest day on Wednesday. There's 2 in the week, so it's 5 days of exercise, 2 days of rest, and 7. Again, another jog day, a yoga day, something to help him work with his calming down. It's wonderful activities. Then on that Saturday, we've got an ab circuit that he's going to do after he does a 5-minute walk. He's going to do 10-minute rotation of crunches, V-ups, sit-ups, toe touches, and planking on the left side, the right side, and both in the front. And then he's going to do some body weight exercises, 3, and he'll progress in this order. 10 body weight squats, 20 yards of body weight lunges, 5 push-ups. 10 body weight squats, 20 yards body weight lunges, 5 push-ups. The progression for the push-ups and the length of the yards will vary each week. For the push-ups, that can double in the next week. If he's able to do the 3 sets of 5 easily, let's do 3 sets of 10 the next time. Cool down, 5-minute walk, looking at a rest. That's kind of what it's going to look like for this individual. Okay, so in conclusion, individualization is essential. Be creative in prescribing their exercises. If you don't know where to start, talk to them. Jogging never hurts. It actually is very beneficial. Find someone they can work with. Be aware of their medications and their other special considerations and unique abilities, and then be adaptable. listen to them, help them, encourage them, and see it through to the end. All right, there's 3 pages of references. Thank you.